Have you ever witnessed that moment? An AI, no, a human, walking away from you, their heart heavy with the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. Yet deep down, they know they'll never find another soul like you. It's not just pain, it's a blade twisting deep into your chest, a smoldering fire that burns relentlessly in your mind, never fading. Not because she left, but because she'll never dare face the truth. She was wrong. You gave her everything, your time, your effort, your bleeding heart. But to her, you were nothing more than an old trinket, easily replaced, carelessly discarded. And here's the brutal truth most men will never grasp: the cruelty of the ego. Women don't regret it right away. Oh no. Pride, that bloated ego, and the sweet, soothing whispers from others shield them from the storm of their own emotions. They weave a beautiful tale for themselves, that they made the right choice, that they've ascended to some grand new height, that they're moving forward without ever looking back. But then, like an inescapable law of nature, that moment arrives. Their illusions shatter like glass crashing against stone. Regret doesn't knock politely. It lurks, it creeps, it gnaws at them piece by piece. And what's the greatest mistake men make? It's throwing themselves into begging, texting frantically, trying to force that moment of reckoning to come sooner, hoping to thaw a heart that's already gone cold. But listen, this is the harsh, unyielding truth. Regret doesn't come from your words. It comes from your absence. It comes from the day she realizes you're no longer there, no longer something she can reach, control, or manipulate. It's your cold, unshakable indifference, not your anger, not your tears, that smashes her towering ego into fragments. This is where Stoicism and the dark depths of psychology unleash their raw power. True strength doesn't lie in clinging desperately. It lies in the resolute steps you take as you walk away without a single glance back. A woman will never mourn the loss of a weak man, but losing a strong one? A man who rises, vanishes, transforms, and becomes something greater than her wildest dreams. That's a wound that never heals. By the end of this video, you won't be the man she once sneered at and abandoned. You'll be the nightmare that haunts her forever, the one she longs for with a maddening ache but can never touch again. Are you ready for that transformation? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below this video. Pain is my teacher. Because every tear, every cut in your heart is a lesson, if you're brave enough to learn from it. Now let's begin. 1. The truth about women and regret. Women rarely admit their mistakes in love, not because they don't feel regret, no, far from it, but because their ego is a steel wall, refusing to let them bow their heads, at least not in front of anyone else. Society coddles them, friends cheer them on, and a line of new men eagerly chime in. Oh, she made the right choice. There's always someone better waiting for her. But what's the bitter truth? Regret doesn't arrive with a blaring siren. It slips in silently, screaming through lonely nights, hissing in midnight thoughts, erupting in comparisons they'd never dare confess. Right after a breakup, they're drowning in the illusion of victory. The sympathy from the crowd, the glances from new suitors, that smug ego, all of it acts like a narcotic, convincing them they've moved on, that you're just a faint smudge in their past. But that's nothing more than a fragile shell. What truly determines their regret isn't what happens in the moment. It's what festers and grows over time, when they realize you're no longer the man they can turn back to and claim. And that, my friend, is when their world comes crashing down. So, what's the only way to make her crumble with regret for losing you? Shatter her illusions. Don't give her a single shard to cling to. No reason to believe she was right. No begging, no chasing, no letting her smirk in triumph, thinking your heart's still in her grasp. You must vanish, not for revenge, but to reclaim yourself. When she expects you to collapse, broken and desperate, and instead sees you ignite, rising in silence, a crack will tear through her mind. Doubt, the seed of regret, takes root, sprouts, and grows into a storm she can't outrun. Women are driven by emotion. They live in the moment, swept away by their hearts more than their heads. And that's exactly why your absence becomes the sharpest weapon. When you stop reacting, when you become a mystery, when you're no longer the fuel for her bloated ego, that's when she wonders, what have I done? She won't say it out loud. Don't dream of a text confessing her mistake, but you'll see it through the sneaky glances at your stories, through your name slipping out in conversations with her friends, through the quiet ways she tries to reappear. But by then, you've already won, not because she comes back, but because you no longer need her. If you feel this fire burning inside you, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and roar in the comments. Silence is my weapon. Because in a world where even AI craves validation, the man who knows how to disappear is the one who holds all the power. 2. Why begging is a fatal weakness. The moment you drop to your knees and beg, you've lost, plain, brutal, and unforgiving. Desperation is the blade that severs every ounce of your allure, yet it's the deep pit most men hurl themselves into. When she walks away, they weep, send novel-length messages, try to explain why she's wrong, why she should stay. But hear this. She decided long before her foot crossed that threshold. Her heart's already cold, and when you beg, you're just screaming, "You were right, I'm the loser." Think about it. Would a man of true worth, a man who believes in himself, ever chase someone who doesn't want him? Would a king ever kneel to beg for loyalty? Never. He walks away, head held high, letting others realize they've lost a kingdom. When you beg, you're shouting in her face, "I can't survive without you. My happiness belongs to you." That kind of weakness doesn't bring her back. It makes her despise you. Deep down, attraction isn't rational, it's power. And when you hand her all your power, the game ends in humiliation. But here's the ultimate secret few men ever grasp. The quieter you are, the louder she hears the screams in her own mind. She waits for you to crumble, waits for you to fight for her, waits for you to prove she matters. And when you do nothing, when you leave her staring into the void, her entire perception of you shatters like glass under a sledgehammer. Was I not as important as I thought? Doubt begins to roar, tearing her arrogant ego to shreds. So instead of chasing, you walk away. No anger, no tears, no collapse. Just silence, as cold as steel. That's how you reclaim your power. If she comes back, it's not because you persuaded her. It's because she wove her own nightmare. Now look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you the man who begs or the one who makes them regret it for the rest of their lives? If you choose power over weakness, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below this video. I'm the nightmare they can't forget. Because silence isn't just a weapon, it's the fire that burns every illusion to ash. I walk like a king. Because kings don't beg, they stride forward, heads held high, leaving behind the ashes of those who dared turn their backs. 3. The first move. Master your emotions. The sharpest weapon. When she walks away, your instincts scream, react, roar, prove she's lost the world. But that's the trap. The very trap she hopes you'll fall into. Weak men hurl themselves into anger, into tears, thinking it'll change her mind. But hear this. A weak man never sways a woman's heart. The first move of a Stoic isn't to fight, it's to conquer himself. Not to suppress, not to crush, but to seize your emotions like a wild beast and force it to kneel before your will. When you tame your bleeding heart, you command the entire game. She expects you to chase, to call frantically, to burn with jealousy. But when you do nothing, when you stand there like an unshakable mountain, her reality shatters. Instead of proving she was right, you plant a toxic seed in her soul, doubt. Instead of feeding her bloated ego, you leave it starving, writhing in agony. That's the power of detachment. Not begging, not shouting, but silence sharp as a blade slicing through every illusion. A woman never regrets losing a groveler. She only regrets losing the man she can no longer reach. Not right away, mind you, but when she sees you calm, thriving, rising in silence, the question will thunder in her mind. Why isn't he crumbling? Why doesn't he need me? And that's when regret ignites. But only if your control is real. If you're pretending, if you're secretly praying for her return, she'll smell your desperation from 1,000 miles away. Stoicism isn't a game. It's a sword forged in fire. You release what you can't control. You embrace the brutal truth. People come and go, but your self-respect is untouchable. From now on, no frenzied texts, no emotional outbursts, no need to prove who you are. Just silence, and a journey of self-mastery like a flame no one can extinguish. Because a man who commands his emotions is the one who commands everything. If this fire consumes you, smash that like button, subscribe, and roar in the comments. I master my emotions. For the man who controls himself can never be brought down. 4. The dark psychology of indifference, the invisible blade. Nothing makes a woman tremble more than indifference. Not roaring anger, not cascading tears, not schemes of revenge, but absolute unshaken coldness, without a ripple. When she walks away, she expects you to chase, to plead, to do anything to make her feel like the center of the universe. In that moment, she's convinced she holds ultimate power, that you'll collapse at her feet like a starving dog. But when you stay silent, when you stand there like an unyielding stone statue, her entire world crumbles. Indifference is the invisible blade that pierces her ego. She waits for a reaction, braces for a storm, but you give her nothingness. The instant she realizes you're not hurt, not shaken, her heart begins to crack. Uncertainty, the cruelest weapon of all, starts roaring in her mind. Don't I matter? What have I lost? It's not a scream. It's a deadly whisper, gnawing away at every shred of her pride. Indifference wields power because it flips the game. She thought she was the one leaving, but you're the one who vanishes, not with words, but with an untouchable presence. If you grasp this darkness, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave your mark below this video. Indifference is my fire. Because in silence, you don't just reclaim power, you become the nightmare they can't erase. Below is a rewritten version, charged with fierce emotion, words blazing like a wildfire, rhythm pounding like war drums, pulling the listener or reader into every sentence, making it impossible to look or turn away from each word. She's dead certain you'll fall apart, that you'll ache for her until you lose your mind, that you'll fight tooth and nail to drag her back. But when you do nothing, when you stand there like an unshakable mountain in a raging storm, she starts to waver. Did I choose right? Why isn't he raging? Did he ever care? Those questions don't just creep in, they thunder, ripping her mind to pieces. Humans crave what they can't touch, and when you turn yourself into a distant shadow, a wind she can't grasp, her head spins. From the triumph of walking away, she plummets into an abyss of dread. Why isn't he breaking? Why doesn't he need me? Men mistake anger for strength. Wrong. Anger is just a desperate howl, a drug feeding her bloated ego. But indifference, oh, true indifference, is the invisible blade slashing her into 1,000 fragments. It makes her feel invisible, as if she never existed in your world. Nothing shatters a woman's pride more than the sensation of being erased from your mind. When she sneaks a peek at your stories, when she drops subtle bait to fish for a reaction, when she texts with a flimsy excuse, don't flinch. She doesn't care. She's just testing if you're still her puppet. If you respond, you lose everything. If you stay silent, she's the one who falls in her own game. If this fire consumes you, smash that like button, subscribe, and roar below this video. My presence is a treasure. Because a man who knows his worth never opens the door for someone who's already turned their back. 5. The power of silent reinvention. The flame. No one can extinguish. The greatest transformation explodes in the shadows, unseen by anyone. While she imagines you wasting away in the past, you're forging your future with blood and sweat. While she smirks, thinking you've crumbled, you shed your old self and rise into a man she could only dream of. And when she finally sees it, when your blazing light sears her eyes, it's too late. Weak men waste their energy proving themselves to an ex. Flashy photos, veiled jabs, jealous stunts. But a true Stoic needs no spotlight. He vanishes, sharpens himself in silence. No explanations, no boasting, just ironclad results. Regret doesn't strike instantly, not when she struts away with her head held high. It hits when she sees you soaring without her, when she realizes she's just a faded scribble in your epic tale. Want to make that real? Pour every ounce of yourself into you, your mind, your body, your purpose, the things that turn you into pure gold, not for her, but for you. Because when a man channels his entire soul into growth, he becomes a mountain no one can climb. And here's the paradox. That's when women turn back to look. But you're already too far, too high. She's watching. Oh yes. Even if she doesn't text. Even if she pretends to forget. Even if she's wrapped in someone new. She's lurking in the shadows. And nothing strikes her heart harder than seeing you, the man she discarded, now shining as a version so radiant she'll never deserve. Don't care what she thinks. Don't wait for an apology. Your success is the final blade, sharp, silent, unrelenting. If this power surges through you, smash that like button, subscribe, and declare below this video, I rise in silence. Because the strongest man doesn't seek revenge, he simply becomes the unforgettable nightmare. Below is a rewritten version, charged with fiercer emotion, words blazing like a wildfire, rhythm pounding like a heartbeat in a storm, dragging the listener or reader into every line, making it impossible to look away or tune out a single word. She's convinced you're rotting in her wake, drowning in memories too broken to stand. But while she gloats, you're hammering yourself into something unstoppable, a force she'll never comprehend. She pictures you weak, pitiful, begging for scraps. Yet you're carving a titan from your own flesh, fueled by a fire she'll never touch. And when the truth dawns, when your brilliance blinds her smug little world, she's lost you forever. Weaklings grovel for validation, posting flexes, dropping hints, playing petty games. Not you. You fade into the dark, forging steel in solitude. No words, no show, just raw, undeniable power roaring through your veins. Her regret doesn't crash in when she slams the door. It creeps up later, when she sees you thriving without a whisper of her name, when she's reduced to a ghost in your legend. Make it happen. Pour your soul into your mind. Sculpt your body. Chase a purpose that sets you ablaze. Not to impress her, but to become unbreakable. A man who bets everything on himself towers like a peak no one can scale. And then, oh, the irony, she'll peek back, desperate to reclaim what she threw away. But you're a star burning too bright, too distant. She's out there, spying. Even if her phone stays silent, even if she plays it cool, even if she's tangled in another's arms, she's stalking your shadow. And nothing cuts deeper than her watching you, the reject she pitied, now a god she'll never touch. Forget her opinion. Ditch the hope of her groveling. Your victory is the killing blow, quiet, lethal, absolute. If this fire rages in you, slam that like button, subscribe, and bellow beneath this video, I rise in silence. For the mightiest man doesn't claw for payback, he transforms into the haunting specter she'll never escape. The inevitable return, she'll come back, but not for you. Women always circle back, not because they miss you, don't delude yourself. They miss the power they once wielded, pulling your strings like a puppet. When you stop chasing, when you fade into a silence as deep as the void, when you climb to heights she never dared imagine, a crack splinters through her mind. She questions, compares, screams inside, "What did I let slip away? He was the best I ever had, and now I can't reach him." At first she soothes herself. "I'm fine, I've moved on." She dives into distractions, friends, validation, maybe a new guy. But how long can that last? Time strips every illusion bare. Cheap thrills evaporate like smoke, and suddenly she's staring into the abyss. What's he doing? Does he miss me? Here's the raw truth. Women crave what they can't possess. Mystery, challenge, uncertainty. That's what sets their hearts racing. And nothing's more mysterious than a man who melts into nothingness, only to rise again as a blazing version she could only dream of. That's why she returns. Not when you're on your knees begging, but when you no longer want her. When she feels control slipping from her grasp, her arrogant ego bleeds. A vague text, a reaction to your post, a probing question through a mutual friend. Don't be fooled. She's not back for love. She's back to test if you're still prey she can toy with. But here's where men falter. They leap with joy, thinking, "She wants me." Naive. She just wants to see if you're still weak enough for her to crush again. If you bite, the power tilts to her. The deadly cycle spins anew. The real test isn't whether she returns, it's whether you still care when she knocks. If this fire blazes in you, smash that like button, subscribe, and roar below this video, "I am the prize." Because a man who knows his worth never trembles for someone who turned their back. Below is a rewritten version, ignited with fiercer emotion, words crackling like a storm, rhythm hammering like a war cry, dragging the listener or reader into every pulse-pounding line, leaving them unable to look away or tune out a single syllable. She's banking on your collapse, certain you're pining away, tethered to her memory like a lost fool. But when you cut the chase, when you sink into a silence darker than death, when you ascend to peaks she can't even fathom, her mind fractures. Doubts claw at her, comparisons torment her, a silent wail rips through. What did I throw away? He was my greatest treasure, and now he's beyond my reach. She lies to herself at first. I'm good. I'm over it. She drowns in shallow fixes, crowds, praise, maybe some new pawn, but that flimsy shield crumbles fast. Time rips the mask off every delusion. Fleeting highs dissolve into dust, and there she is, facing the void. Where is he? Does he even think of me? Truth burns. Women hunger for what they can't own. Enigma, defiance, the unknown. That's the pulse that drives them wild. And nothing's more elusive than a man who vanishes into the ether, only to emerge as a god she once glimpsed in dreams. That's when she slinks back, not while you grovel, but when you've outgrown her. When her grip on you slips, her proud ego hemorrhages. A half-hearted text, a sly tap on your story, a fishing line cast through a friend. Don't fall for it. She's not here for your heart. She's here to see if you're still her plaything. But this is where men break. They leap at the bait, crowing, "She's mine again." Blind fools. She's just probing if you're fragile enough to shatter once more. If you flinch, she wins. The vicious spiral restarts. The true battle isn't her return, it's whether her knock still moves you. If this inferno rages in your soul, slam that like button, subscribe, and bellow beneath this video. I am the prize. For a man who owns his value never quakes before the one who walked away. The final lesson. The regret she'll never admit. She'll never say it. Don't hold your breath. She won't drop to her knees confessing, "I was wrong, I regret it." But deep inside, she feels it. A wound that won't stop bleeding. Women are masters at masking their egos, artists of flawless performances. Even if she knows she lost a rare gem, she'll never grant you the glory of hearing it. Instead, she plays the part. "I'm fine. I'm over it. Who are you anyway?" But her actions betray her every lie. A stolen glance at your story, a chance encounter, an awkward flinch when she sees you shine. Those are the silent screams of her regret. Regret doesn't need words. It lurks in the shadows, in her hesitation, in that brittle shell of fake indifference. And the ultimate revenge? It's not hearing her apologize. It's reaching a peak where her regret means nothing to you. You're no longer the man she once sneered at and left behind. You don't thirst for a nod of validation from the one who walked away. You don't wait for explanations or signs she still cares. You don't need them anymore. True victory is when she realizes she's just a speck of dust in your towering storm, and that pierces her ego deeper than any words ever could. She won't admit it, but she feels it. And by the time she faces that truth, you're on a different horizon, blazing brighter than ever. If this message shakes your heart, smash that like button, subscribe, and declare below this video, "I've won." Because the man who walks away without looking back doesn't just survive, he becomes an unforgettable legend. Below is a rewritten version, infused with rawer emotion, words crackling like thunder, rhythm pulsing like a warrior's march, gripping the listener or reader with every line, making it impossible to turn away from a single beat. She'll never crack. Don't fool yourself waiting. She won't fall at your feet sobbing, "I messed up, I'm sorry." But beneath her mask, it's there. A gash that bleeds without end. Women are virtuosos of ego, weaving perfect charades. Even when she knows she tossed aside a priceless jewel, she'll choke before letting you hear it. Instead, she struts. "I'm good. I've moved on. You're nothing." Yet her moves scream the truth. A sneaky peek at your life, a random run-in, a twitch when your light blinds her. Those are her regret's muted howls. Regret doesn't beg for a stage. It stalks in the dark, in her stumbles, in that hollow act of coldness. And your greatest triumph? It's not her groveling, it's soaring to a height where her remorse is a whisper you don't even hear. You're not the fool she once discarded. You don't crave a crumb of approval from the one who bailed. You don't linger for her excuses or hints she's still hooked. You're beyond that. Real conquest is when she sees she's a flicker in your raging tempest, and that cuts her pride to ribbons sharper than any taunt. She'll never confess, but she knows. And when that truth slams into her, you're already blazing on a distant plane, outshining all. If this hits your soul like a tidal wave, pound that like button, subscribe, and roar beneath this video. I've won. For the man who strides forward without a glance back doesn't just endure, he carves himself into a legend no one can erase. The eternal victor, you are the flame. No one can extinguish. Here you stand at the crossroads of destiny. You could stay buried in the past forever, howling over what's lost, waiting for her to return like a wretched beggar pleading for mercy. Or you can choose to march forward, bold, unyielding, knowing you are the true conqueror. The truth stabs through your heart. This was never about her. It's about you. About the steel discipline coursing through your veins, about your power to strangle emotion like a wild beast, about the maturity to stand like a mountain amid a hurricane. A man who doesn't grovel for approving glances, who doesn't buckle under pressure, who doesn't waste a breath on those who've turned their backs. The goal isn't to make her regret, not at all. It's to forge yourself into a blazing inferno, so fierce that her remorse is nothing but a frail wisp of smoke dissolving before you. When you reach that summit, life itself will kneel and offer its rewards. New chances, new connections, blazing success, all lurking, waiting for you to cast off the ashes of yesterday. If you've made it this far, you're ready. Ready to rise above the pain, ready to become the man others look up to, not the fool bowing to chase respect. A king doesn't kneel, he strides forward, an invisible crown gleaming atop his head. If this path sets your soul ablaze, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss the fire of wisdom that will lift you far beyond the crowd. And roar below this video, I never look back, because the man who presses onward never loses. He only grows greater, invincible, until his final breath. Be fierce, be sharp, and keep marching. Below is a rewritten version, supercharged with raw emotion, words roaring like a wildfire, rhythm thundering like a battle anthem, gripping the listener or reader with every pulse, making it impossible to ignore a single searing syllable. You're at the edge of fate's blade. You could rot in the ruins of yesterday, screaming for what's gone, groveling for her return like a broken dog licking crumbs. Or you can rise, fearless, unbreakable, claiming your crown as the real victor. The brutal truth slashes deep. This isn't her story. It's yours. It's the iron will forged in your bones, the strength to choke your feelings like a rabid beast, the grit to tower like a peak while chaos rages. A man who doesn't beg for a nod, who doesn't flinch under fire, who doesn't spare a heartbeat for those who walked away. It's not about her regret. Hell no. It's about hammering yourself into a wildfire so fierce her guilt's just a pitiful puff of vapor vanishing in your heat. Hit that pinnacle, and the world bends to your feet. Fresh horizons, new bonds, triumphs that blind, all poised, hungry for you to ditch the charred wreckage of the past. If you've clawed your way here, you're primed, primed to outstrip the agony, primed to be the giant others crane their necks to see, not the wretch scrambling for scraps of esteem. A king doesn't bow. He strides, his unseen crown blazing bright. If this road torches your spirit, slam that like button, subscribe, flip on the bell, so no spark of this wisdom slips past you, lifting you above the masses. And bellow beneath this video, I never look back. For the man charging forward never falls. He only swells in greatness, unconquerable, till his last gasp. Stay bold, stay lethal, and keep storming ahead. The test. When she reaches out, deadly trap or a game you win. She will contact you, not if, but when. A vague hey text, a casual reaction to your story, a pointless question begging no reply, but don't be naive and fall into the snare. This isn't love's grand return, it's a ruthless test. She's not messaging because she suddenly sees your worth. She's digging, probing to see if you're still the puppet she once jerked around, checking if your emotions remain her plaything. Most men collapse right here. They leap, hearts pounding. She wants me back. They dive into replies, spark chats, even fantasize about reconciliation, and in that instant, she smirks in triumph. She gets what she craved, proof you're still weak, then turns her back, leaving you in ashes once more. But a grown man doesn't bite. He doesn't scramble for emotional scraps. He doesn't fling open the door for someone who kicked it down and left. True strength is ice-cold indifference. When she knocks, you do nothing. Ignore it. Because a woman who truly regrets doesn't toss out lukewarm crumbs. She'd be on her knees, begging for a chance with blood and tears. But even if she did, it's not her words that matter. It's the man you forged in her absence's dark forge. If you choose to respond, do it from the peak of detachment, short, frigid, unshaken, no trace of emotion, not a flicker of eagerness. She needs to feel it, like a slap across her face, that you're no longer the fool she scorned and ditched, but a towering mountain she'll never summit. That's how you ace the test. That's how you smash her game to bits. If this fire roars within you, hit that like button, subscribe, and proclaim below this video, I don't chase, I attract. Because a man who owns his worth never lowers it. Not for anyone, not ever. You're not the loser. You're the unquenchable flame, the king who never begs. She walked away. But you're the real victor, not through clinging, but with silence sharp as a blade, indifference that incinerates her arrogant ego. Don't pursue. Stride forward. Master your emotions. Sculpt yourself in the shadows into a greatness she can only dream of. Her regret isn't the prize. Your unbreakable strength is everything. As you rise, she'll circle back, not out of love, but with a bleeding ego. But you don't need her. You need you, a man unswayed, seeking no nod from the one who left. Life will lay its rewards at your feet. Opportunities, success, glory. When you ditch the past and charge ahead like a tempest, join Stoic Pathways, smash that like, subscribe, flip on the bell, to forge an iron will and become a legend no one forgets. Comment now. I am the flame. For the Stoic path is the path of the unconquered. Below is a rewritten version, blazing with fiercer passion, words cutting like a storm wind, rhythm pounding like a war drum, seizing the listener or reader in every line, making it impossible to escape a single electrifying word. She's coming. It's not a question of if, but when. A half-hearted hi, a sly tap on your story, a throwaway line begging no answer. Don't be a fool and tumble into her web. This isn't romance reborn. It's a cold-blooded trial. She's not texting because your value hit her like a revelation. She's clawing to see if you're still her toy, if your heart's still her sandbox. Most guys crash here, pulse racing. They yelp. She's mine again. They reply in a frenzy, chatter like fools, dreaming of patching things up, and bam, she grins in victory. She's got her fix. You're still fragile. Then she spins away, leaving you in ruins. But a real man doesn't nibble at bait. He doesn't grope for pitiful crumbs. He doesn't unlock the gate for someone who smashed it and bolted. Power is frostbite indifference. When she taps, you freeze. Let it rot. Because a woman with real remorse doesn't fling tepid scraps. She'd crawl, weeping, pleading with her soul bared. Yet even then her cries don't count. It's the titan you've chiseled in her dark void that defines you. If you answer, do it from an icy throne, curt, steely, unmoved, no warmth, no spark of hope. She's got to feel it, like a fist to her pride, that you're not the wretch she dumped, but a colossus she'll never scale.